them. However, despite this major miracle, Mu'jiza from Allah, and numerous other miracles, there was no lasting effect on the collective character of the Bani Israelis. Even while the messenger Musa was present among them, they took to worshipping of the calf. Time and again they continued to commit major transgression and cross the limits set by Allah. Allah continued to give them chances to rectify their ways through series of messengers. However, they refrained from mending their errors, and after Musa, there was not a single messenger from Allah that the Bani Israelis accepted universally. One after another messenger from Allah gave up his life in their cruel hands. In this manner, the Bani Israelis were responsible for the deaths of countless Nabis and an unknown number of Mu'mins believers. Owing to the curse put on them by David or Daud salam, the Bani Israelis were long since enslaved by pagan Romans when the last messenger among them, Isa salam, was sent. Although they still claimed to accept the laws of the Torah, the alims or learned elders of the faith had caused it to lose the balance with their excessive analysis of the practical side. It was to restore this balance between the spiritual and practical aspects of the faith that Allah sent Messenger Jesus or Isa, who first and foremost reiterated his faith in the laws, Sharia, brought by Musa. He reaffirmed that he had been sent for the wayward sheep of the Bani Israelis and forbid his disciples to preach to any persons of different faith. For this reason, the pagan rulers saw no threat to their position by his preaching. Instead, he incurred the wrath of the Jewish clergy, the rabbis, Pharisees and the Sadducees, who had made their living from spelling religious decrees. They were the same clergy that had turned the holy temple, Bait al-Muqaddas, into their business center. The messenger Isa sought to bring an end to their unscrupulous practice, to the profound control they yielded over the general mass, thus turned into a major thorn in their side. On one hand, they convinced the Roman rulers that Isa posed a great threat to their position, and on the other, they propagated among the people that he was a renegade and a magician. It was as if Lucifer, Iblis himself, was manifest among the so-called clergy. When Isa's close companion Judas Iscariot sold his master for a mere 30 coins, Allah caused Isa to be bodily removed from this earth, and the traitor Judas was made to look identical to him. As punishment for his hypocrisy, Judas was the one to meet his death on the cross. After Isa's departure, Palestine became a very dangerous place for his disciples, who then fled to nearby different areas. Sometime after this, an erstwhile Jew named Paul claimed to bring faith in Isa's teachings. However, in light of his consequent actions, the true motive for his conversion is put to doubt. The messenger Isa was only sent for the Bani Israelis, and as such, he forbade his disciples to even approach anyone outside their group. Yet, this was exactly what Paul started to do. He convinced the other disciples to follow him into bringing people of other faiths into a new religion they called Christianity. As it was very difficult and dangerous for them to preach this revised new version among the Bani Israelis in Palestine, Paul and his group then set out to convert people of different European areas to this faith. At that time, most of Europe were worshippers of different gods and goddesses, and even natural elements. They realized this new faith was far better in comparison to their existing ideas, and gradually most of Europe, along with the elite ruling class, converted to the new religion called Christianity.
Dear friends, we hope that it is now clear before you how devil Iblis has lured mankind into straying from the Siratul Mustaqim, the Tawheed sent from Allah, and slithered into pits of injustice, inequality, repression, and turmoil in their social lives. They perverted faith to suit their ends. Allah, in His mercy, has sent long chains of messengers, Nabis and Rasuls, to retain mankind within the folds of Tawheed. Whenever a new messenger has arrived with clear-cut proof from Allah, it has always been the clergy type from among the followers of the existing faith that turned out as the severest opponents of the new messenger. In this way have emerged many new religions. However, the faith of Christianity did not occur following this pattern. It seems to have followed a carefully thought-out plan altogether. If anyone brings faith in a particular Nabi or Rasul, it would be logical to think that he would respect and abide by the limits or regulations set by that Nabi himself. But Paul did exactly the opposite of what Isa alayhi salam had preached and insisted upon spreading the religion of Christianity among people outside the Bani Israelis. In course of time, it is this Pauline Christianity that gave birth to the hardcore materialistic society, which the Messenger of Allah has described as the Dajjal. The Messenger of Allah has placed immense importance on the gravity of the Dajjal. Therefore, to get a clear understanding of his mission and the stress he has imparted on this particular issue, let us try to gauge the situation of his time and the objectives of his arrival.
The progeny of Ismail ﷺ, the son of Ibrahim ﷺ, were the inhabitants of the city of Makkah in Arabia. Throughout a long history of thousands of years, the changes they brought in the Sharia of Ismail had left little in resemblance to the actual faith. The house of the one God, Kaaba, was humiliated with the presence of numerous idols of various gods and goddesses. Yet they still claimed to be the followers of Ibrahim, said their prayers as taught by him, performed the Hajj and observed Sawm. They called themselves Abdullah, or the servants of Allah. They invoked the blessings of Allah before starting anything new, and even circled the Kaaba chanting Labbaik, Allahumma Labbaik. Despite all this, in their collective social lives, they had forsaken the directives of the Almighty and governed their lives in accordance to the regulations and rules imposed by the ruling class, mainly the Quraysh. In this situation, the Almighty fulfilled His promise to the progeny of Ibrahim and sent the most revered of all messengers into the family of Ismail. As a young child, Rahmatan lil Alameen was raised in the wild beauty of the deserts. Till the proclamation of the message, Nabuwat, he enjoyed a most honored and enviable position among the Makkans as the As-Sadiq, the truthful one. Yet, everything changed for him when the duty of a messenger from Allah was laid on his shoulders. No sooner had he declared La ilaha illallah, there is none to be obeyed other than Allah, no claimant of sovereignty save him, than the Makkans turned their backs on him. The person who for 40 years had been known to them as Alamin became infamous as a magician, a renegade, a liar, a madman. People who called themselves to be the Millat Ibrahim, followers of the Hanifi faith, turned their wrath on the small number of movements who declared to preach Tawheed, sovereignty of the Maker. Yet, despite all their efforts and persecution, they could not deter the Messenger of Allah or his small band of followers from the path of Tawheed. After suffering 13 long years at the hands of tribal chieftains, the elite ruling class of Makkah and the clergy, the Messenger of Allah was ordered to migrate to the city of Medina. Where he was warmly welcomed by all and laid the foundation for the first Muslim state to be governed on the principles of Allah's sovereignty. In the next phase, he established the law of life based on Tawheed throughout the entire peninsula of Arabia, and this he accomplished through a series of armed battles and skirmishes. He had been sent with the mission to establish Deenul Haq on this entire world, to achieve which he created a nation of warriors, a fearless, undaunted, undefeatable group of people whose sole aim in life was to die in battle. After the departure of the Messenger of Allah, the responsibility of establishing Deenul Haq on this world came to his followers, his people, and they rose magnificently to the task. In less than half a century, they conquered and subsequently brought under the banner of Tawheed more than half the landmass of the world. The world saw an era of peace and tranquility it had never known before. This is the true history of mankind. The perpetual fight between right and wrong, the acceptance and rejection of Allah's sovereignty, His Tawheed, the eternal duel between man's soul, the amanah from Allah, and the luring of Iblis, both as individual and as society. This is not only the past, this is the present, and undoubtedly the future holds the same. Without a moment's pause or break, an uninterrupted, unbreakable cycle.
Dear viewers, the ways of life that the Almighty revealed through His long line of messengers have always been balanced and coordinated. On one hand, it contained rules and regulations which people obeyed on personal level, and on the other, it had limits and laws governing the society and national interests. Therefore, the need to separate faith from the national life of a people never arose. From time immemorial, it is the clergy, the learned class, among a society that has corrupted the facets of the faith through unnecessary analysis and overdoing. The fine balance has been lost, and societies saw a rise of anarchy, injustice, and bloodshed. At this point, Allah again has sent a messenger from Him to restore equilibrium. Let's take the case of the Bani Israelis for instance. It was when they had destroyed the soul of the Jewish faith that Allah revealed the messenger Isa alayhi salam to rectify the situation. He claimed, "I have not been sent to void the laws of Musa. Indeed, I bear witness to it and confirm the law of Tawrat." As he was sent to restore the spirituality of the Judaic faith, the gospel Isa brought with him did not contain any Sharia or national law. It held the principles of personal enrichment through piety and charity. All this was restricted within and applicable only to people of the Judaic faith. However, after the ascent of Isa alayhi salam to heaven, Paul preached among people outside the boundary of the Judaic faith. The result was that the en masse converts to the new faith entered a system that was devoid of one and every national aspect. They failed to understand that a system of life minus the economy, social life, penal code, politics and national government was not only improbable, it was dysfunctional, impossible. Yet, this was what they tried to do. Subsequently, in their utmost effort in establishing an imbalanced way of life over the whole of Europe, these new Christians gradually came to face an unending clash between this worldly life and the hereafter. This clash between the rulers and the church became so poignant that the life of the common man was seriously threatened. This led to the need of creating a system outside the direct intervention of the church. During the reign of Henry VIII in 1537, it was finally decided that the church and state would be officially separated. The laws that govern the social, economics, national, example, collective lives of people would be decided by the people themselves. The limitations of right and wrong, of moral and immoral, would henceforth be decided by man himself. The Lord Creator ceased to have any say over these matters anymore. For the first time in history, man as a collective entity opted to forego the word of the Maker and usurp sovereignty for himself. This gave rise to a soulless, godless, materialistic civilization that the Messenger of Allah allegorically described as the Dajjal. Let us catch a glimpse of the Dajjal's evolution through video footage.